here's the thing. You might have had a situation where you feel like you're jet lagged, right? You actually went to bed, maybe you woke up at noon and you kind of feel as if you traveled. Because earlier in the week or during your work week, you're waking up at 6 a.m. and now you're sleeping in on the weekends. What I'm describing to you is called social jet lag. And doing this thing where you don't have a regular sleep schedule, it's literally like going to California and coming back to New York like every weekend. It leaves you exhausted. It leaves your systems out of whack. And what is driving these symptoms or these feelings is what we call our circadian rhythm. And this is another big factor when it comes to addressing insomnia. I talked before and told you before that there are three main systems that regulate your sleep. And you're someone with insomnia, these are the three systems you do want to pay attention to. Your sleep drive, which is really about that pressure that builds up over the course of the day. And the more awake you are, the longer you're awake, the more your sleep drive builds up. Your circadian rhythm is that master clock that controls so many other systems in your body. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then there's your arousal system, which literally can override your sleep drive and your circadian rhythm if it's not set right. So let's jump in and talk about that circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is that internal rhythm that is about 24 hours. Circa is 24. Circa is around. DN is around 24 hours, right? So that's how we come to that circadian rhythm. And this is literally built from a system, a very small section of your brain. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. I do not want you to memorize that. You're not going to have a test, but it's a very small center in our brain that really regulates all these systems. So essentially every part of your body has a clock. Every single part of your body. We're all made up of tiny little clocks in all our organs and our systems and things like that. And this master clock, think of it like the conductor of an orchestra. And so each person, it's telling every member of that orchestra to play their own instrument. Now, if the conductor decides to take a break, guess what? There's going to be chaos. So all those other, musicians are still playing their systems, but they don't know when to come in, when there's going to be a synchrony, when there's an interlude. They don't know what's going on because that master clock or conductor is out of whack. So think of that as the system that needs to be in place for your body to know what exactly to do when it's supposed to do it. So a lot of people think about sleep when it comes to circadian rhythm. Yes, that's a very important part of your circadian rhythm, but your circadian rhythm also controls so many other systems. Your hormones, your digestive system, your heart rate, your blood pressure. When growth hormone is released, insulin is released, stress hormones are released, your mood, when you poop, all of that. So many other systems are generally controlled by that circadian rhythm. So huge concept. This is very important. So how does the sleep piece come about? So when your brain figures out based on what's happening outside. So it is light outside. It is sending signals to your brain that it's time for you to be alert, right? It's time for you to be awake. That's why it's really sometimes hard, except of course you're sleep deprived, to just kind of fall asleep randomly. Don't you wonder about that? You're falling asleep randomly throughout the day. If you're typically healthy, if that's something that's happening to you, something is probably going on. And here's the fun piece of it. Newborn babies don't have an established circadian rhythm. That's why they sleep all the time. They're asleep, awake. They're awake at night, asleep during the day, because they do not have that established circadian rhythm. But typical healthy adults have an established circadian rhythm, which tells them be awake during the day, and then you start to feel sleepy at night. There is a very special hormone. We call it the hormone of darkness. It's called melatonin. This is produced by a structure in our brain called the pineal gland. And so it gets input from light. And when light comes, it shuts the brain off from producing that melatonin, so you're awake. In the evening, when there's absence of light, it sends signals again for the brain to start to produce melatonin, and you start to feel like you're about to wind down and go to sleep. Again, at the right time, right? There has to be that sleep drive and that arousal system in place and all of that. So these are the things that keep us going on a 24-hour level. Now, there are other things that control that circadian rhythm. It's not just light. Meal times is a big one. If you eat at regular times, it's again training your brain to say, this is, morning, this is lunchtime, this is dinner time, and all of that. Social activities, those are also cues that are very important to our circadian rhythm. Routines are also important for our circadian rhythm. Exercise is also important for our circadian rhythm. The reason why I bring that up is for people who are non-sighted. So for blind folks, we still have them with an established routine and things. We can still get them to sleep well. Otherwise, they have what we call a free running circadian rhythm where they're sleeping randomly if we don't. And that's really one of the strategies we use to correct sleep in non-sighted individuals. So what are the things that could go wrong with your circadian rhythm that can impact your sleep negatively? Again, similar to your sleep drive, it's having an inconsistent sleep time and wake up time. So your brain is like, wait, what are we supposed to be doing? It seems like the brain is sending signals for us to be sleepy, but we're here doing X, Y, and Z. And, when we're supposed to wake up, because, now it's light out, but we're still laying in bed, it kind of throws that circadian rhythm off, giving you what we call that social jet lag. So like the example I gave earlier on, you sort of sleeping until 12 noon, you not really having that really established sleep schedule will always throw off your circadian rhythm, leaving you like you traveled, but you didn't even travel, right? So that's one big one. Another thing that can impact your circadian rhythm is really about light exposure. So the wrong light exposure will always screw things up. So if you have excessive light when it's supposed to be dark. So in the evening, for instance, you have screens, you have blue light all over. It sends signals to your brain to think it's daytime. Because here's the thing about your brain. It's not sophisticated enough, that pineal gland, to know that the light that's coming is artificial light. It just sees light and it says, oh, it's morning. We're not supposed to come out, right? So having wrong light exposure, if it not being dark enough in the evening, will make it such that it's hard for you to sleep. It will throw off your circadian rhythm. The second piece is having too much darkness in the morning, so you're not exposing yourself to morning light. That throws things off completely. In fact, that is so critical. Early morning light exposure when you wake up, to reset your clock to say we start to mark another 24. That's so important. And then another one is having irregular meal times, eating breakfast at 11 a.m. No, I tell my patients, my clients, absolutely, even if you don't feel very hungry, I recommend that you have meal times structured and regularly. So your body anticipates it, getting outside, having those social connections, exercise, all of those things. So how do we fix it? Now that we've talked about the things that could go wrong, optimizing your circadian rhythm, I would say the very first thing you want to do is have an established wake up time and established bedtime. It's really almost like an anchor. It's like you're digging your heels in the sand to say, this is when morning starts for me, and you stick to it. And then number two is a light exposure in the morning. Get outside, especially natural light, right? Get outside. Artificial light is fine as well, but the rays, the wide variety of rays that are, emitted by the natural light is just a full spectrum light, which is really healthy for our circadian rhythm. So really getting yourself outside, some movement and exercise and all of that is good. And then avoiding, like I said before, bright lights in the evening. So like 2 or 3 hours before bed, you want to start dimming the lights. You want to start cueing your body to know to wind down, having an established routine. All those things will start to teach your body that it's time to start to shut down for the night. And then the meal times, like I said, even if you don't want to eat like a large meal, just really having something for breakfast, eating at lunch, having dinner at as regular times as possible is a guaranteed way to also help to optimize your circadian rhythm. So these are things that if you can start to implement it, especially if you're someone who has insomnia, you may feel like, you know what, I'm so tired, I don't want to eat anything, I'm just going to drink coffee. Well, that's really not going to help. These are things that you want to establish as your practice. And I can guarantee that if you put this in practice with optimizing your sleep drive and having an arousal system that is not wired up, your sleep will get better. And that's really how we build systems around our insomnia program to help people achieve the sleep they need. So if you are looking for help and you want to move to the next level, to say, you know what, I'm done being tired and ready to wake up feeling refreshed, check us out, therestfulsleepmd.com. If you have not subscribed to this channel, you want to do that right now and help me get the word out by sharing this, marking it, sharing it with your loved one who might be struggling with sleep. And so until next time, I hope you rest well.